Today I'm making these dice trays with the laser logo of the different armies for the Warhammer game. Now this was a very easy project to be able to design. It really only had one toolpath to be able to do. And this is something that you can do in an afternoon very easily and make something that's very functional for the Warhammer game. To make these dice trays, I'm actually using a construction grade 2x10 to be able to cut this design out as a one-piece item. If you're new to the CNC machining and want to be able to do a real simple first project to be able to kind of get your feet wet, this is the project for you. I'm going to show you exactly how to use the VCarve Pro to be able to set up this one simple tool path and be able to prepare it for the carving. I've opened up the VCarve Pro and I'm going to start with this first job set. And this is the screen that you're going to see when you first open it up. And we're going to make this as a single-sided object. As far as the X and Y, the 2x10 that I have is actually 9.5 inches by the 9.5 inches. And the thickness of that material is 1.5 inches. And of course, we are going to be using inches for this. And I'm going to do the Z position off of the surface. I'm going to use the center point to be able to do this one simple tool path. Everything else is fine. I'll just hit OK. So this gives me the actual blank and the exact size of this. The one tool path that I need to put in here is just simply a pocket to be able to do it. And to do that, we're going to need a rectangle. So I'm going to go over here. And I do want to be able to have this radius corner. You can see I can click on square and it'll give a nice square corner. I can do the radius and that's what we're going to use. And I could also do the internal. But what I want for this project is the radius external, and I want that radius to be 7.75 of an inch. Now the width of this and the height for your XY0 is 7.75 inches for both. So I'll just hit create and there the rectangle appears. So we'll close this. That's really all I need for this project. I'm going to come right up here to this section and I'm going to click on this and that will bring us over to the toolpath area. Now over here, this is the one that we need right here. This is the pocket that we're going to be creating. And I'm going to start at the start depth of 0, which is the surface. And let's carve down 1.2 inches. And the bit that I'm going to use, we're not going to use the 1/4 inch. I'm going to remove that bit and we're going to select a new bit. And from my library over here, I have this surfacing bit, which is 1 1/8 of an inch. I'll select that. And these parameters I'll leave alone. I'm just going to simply hit select. Now it shows that this is 12 passes. If you want to edit the passes, we can click on this and you can see these passes can be adjusted. This shows you that it's cutting down at 0.1 inch each and every time. If you want to change it, you can just come down here and change and select whatever amount of passes that you want. I wanted to keep it shallow. This is good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm doing this as an offset cut, meaning that it's going to start in the center and work its way out. The reason I'm doing that is that I did the experiment and tested the rasper cut and was going with the grain of the wood, which was going this direction. And it actually took longer. And what I'm trying to do is keep the time down. I do want to be able to have the ramps. And on this, because of the area that I'm cutting, I just set the ramp where it's going to go down about 1 inch at a time to be able to do the ramp. If I was using a bigger project or a different type of bit, that would probably extend that out to about 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches. But 1 inch ramp down into the material is good. That helps to, again, save the bit, has less stress on the bit. And then down at the bottom, we can hit calculate, and we do need to have the vector selected. So if that little error message pops up, no big deal. we'll just click on our one toolpath, and now it's highlighted, and I can calculate this. And there's the toolpath. I'm going to hit Reset Preview. I'm going to select and have it carve it out, and you can see exactly what it's going to look like and how it's going to carve. And it's going to show all 12 of those passes cutting down 0.1 of an inch each and every time. And when it's done, that's what it looks like. And we can rotate this around and see exactly how it looks. And if you're happy with that, then we can close this window out and we can come over here to this icon right here. And this is where we're going to save the toolpath. So I'm going to come right down here to my pocket. I'm going to click on it, and then you'll see it showing up right here. And you can see the visible toolpath to one file. That's what we're going to do. I have the machines set up, and I'm just going to save this. Now I've already saved it, so I'm not going to click on this again. And all it's going to do is save this out to my thumb drive. I save everything on thumb drives versus saving it on the computer. And that's just how easy it is to be able to set up this one toolpath to carve this dice tray. I do want to show you one thing. If you ever want to edit this, I can just double click on it and I can come back and edit this. Let's say for an example, I only wanted to go down 1.1 inches. Well, I could do that and edit it. If I wanted to change the bit, I certainly could change the bit. And down at the bottom, if you want to be able to name this, and I certainly recommend that you name this, I would put in something of the order of a dice tray and what bit that I'm using. And in this case, I'm using the 1.125 inch bit, and I'm just going to call this the surfacing. I'm just going to use SUR, and that will be an abbreviation for the surface. And then I can hit calculate, and that will identify exactly what project this is and the bit that I'm using. So we'll close this out and get back to the actual carving. To be able to do this on the CNC machine, I just set up a very simple jig that only has 2 clamps that will move. The rest of this is all fixed. So my XY0 position is going to be exactly the same every time to cut these out. The bit that I'm using is actually a surfacing bit. Now this is an 1.1 inch diameter bit that I'm cutting down approximately 1.25 inches deep. The biggest concern that I have was the shaft length on this bit, and could I actually carve that deep? Well, as it turns out, after some very careful measurements, yes, I could do that. I kept the feed rates and the depth of cut actually very shallow. I'm only cutting down about 1/8 of an inch on each of the different passes. I'm doing roughly 11 passes to be able to go down to the depth that I want to, and I'm keeping the feed rate really slow. I do not want to put a lot of extra stress on this bit and on the machine itself. So this is a little bit of an experiment. Now I have to tell you, I was a little bit nervous about doing this, and the first bit that I used was the 1/4 inch bit. Now that took over 3.5 hours to be able to carve this pocket out, which was way too long. This actually took just over an hour with this surfacing bit to do the same job. I would also recommend not to use the construction grade 2x10 for this project, but that's all I had available to me, and I wanted to be able to get this done. The reason being is that the material is going to have a high moisture content. I checked the moisture, and this had about 11.5% moisture, and that means this material will warp very easily. And when you buy the material, you have to pick the one with the fewest knots and as straight as possible. Very important. I did have to flatten this to begin with, and on one of these boards, after I had cut this deep pocket, it actually twisted again, and I had to resurface it to be able to get it flat. To change these boards out, all I need to be able to do is loosen these two clamps, slide them back, lift this out, and then drop the next blank in. You want to make sure that you clean out this little track right here, because if you forget to do that, the blank will sit up a little bit higher, and that will cause a little bit of an error in the carving. So after just sweeping this out for a moment, then I can just drop the blank back in position and then use the clamps and tighten it back. This is a very simple jig that I set up to be able to make this transition as quick as possible, so I can carve these out and get them done in a minimum amount of time. If you choose not to use the surfacing bit to be able to carve this pocket, you can use the 1/4 inch or another diameter. Unfortunately, the 1/4 inch was the largest diameter that I had other than that surfacing bit. The only thing that this will do is cost you time. Like I said, it's going to take about 3.5 hours to do it with this 1/4 inch bit. The results will be the same and it will look great. It's just how valuable is your time. You can see that the bottom of this is completely flat. Even with the 1/4 inch bit, the surfacing bit was equally as smooth. At the router table, I want to be able to ease over all of these sharp edges. I'm using a 1/4 inch round over bit to be able to round over all of the edges, top and bottom, as well as on the inside. And yes, once again, I measured the height of that bit to make sure that it would clear and not hit the bottom of this tray. That would be a real disaster if that happened and completely ruin it. But after some measurements, I knew that it would work, so then I could actually put the tray over the bit and make the cut. And that gave a nice round over on the inside of that tray. To switch over to do the logos for the laser engraving, I was actually sent these images, and being that they were black and white and with a clear background, made being able to prepare these in the Lightburn software very easy, except for this one. This one with that center section there that looked like it had a little bit of a glare on it, that did not work well at all. In the Lightburn software, I did the trace image, and this is the results. It is a clear, sharp image. It's going to look really good with the fill. As far as the power settings, I'm using 45 millimeters per minute and 80% power with the fill setting. Anytime that I'm using the laser in the shop, the doors are closed and I have this sign on the door with the red light. I do not want people coming into the shop without the eye protection. You must wear the glasses to be able to have your eyes protected. I use the current position in Lightburn to establish the center point. I turn on the fire button, which is at a 0.25% power, and yes, I still wear the glasses, but that gives me the exact center. I'm going to frame this to make sure that it's not going to hit the sides, and then again, wearing the glasses at all times, I'm ready to be able to engrave this. I rarely actually home the machine. I use the current position in the Lightburn software to be able to do all of my engravings. With the center identified, I can hit the engrave button and start, and it will go through the process, and I don't have to worry about the laser hitting the sidewalls of the dice tray. And when the project is finished, the laser will go right back to that center point. And because this is actually engraving down inside that tray, I actually have to lift up the laser to be able to get the dice tray out. And this is another downside to using the construction grade material. You can see where you have the hard and soft areas of the wood itself, and it will engrave differently. But overall, the results are very good, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Thanks a lot for watching this very short video today. It was a lot of fun being able to design this very simple dice tray with just one simple tool path and carving down about 1.25 inches deep. Now again, this was just construction grade material. You could use walnut, maple, or other types of hardwood to be able to do this. But this was very simple, very easy. It's very functional. So if you like this type of video, by all means, give me a thumbs up. And don't forget, hit that little subscribe button down there so you'll be notified on the different videos that I'm uploading. Because in the next video, I'm going to take this and actually expand on it and make different individual pockets to be able to hold the dice and all types of different items associated with the Warhammer game. You're not going to want to miss that. So please subscribe and get notified when these videos come out. So for now, take a look at some of these other videos right up there. I think you'll find them enjoyable. And I look forward to seeing you real soon in the next video. So bye-bye, everyone. See you real soon.